The difference between when someone knows who they are and when someone doesn't know who they are, it's not about the experience. It's actually about what you know about certain things inside of you that you couldn't see. If that thing doesn't work out, that means I'm a failure already. See, cannot happen. That's what's holding them back from understanding other people's perspective, especially.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ordinary Podcast, ODD-nary Podcast, where we interview ordinary people with extraordinary lives. And today we have healer and life coach Roselle Lu on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so before we start,
Yeah.
what is a healer and a life coach do? Like what's your job description?
Okay, so healer and a life coach. Well, I think there's two ways to see it. One way, it's as the name describes, someone who helps other people heal, and someone who helps coach other people how to do life. Not live life, but how to do life. Yeah.
What do you mean by do life?
Okay, so oftentimes when we live out our lives, we ought to keep learning, right? We ought to keep learning. But sometimes when we learn, we might not know our certain blind spots in our mindset, like things that are limiting us, things that are preventing us or holding us back from truly expressing our true selves and also our life's purpose. Yeah.
So the next question actually is, why life coach though? Out of so many, is there like a particular point in your life where something happened, or that say, hey, I want to go on this path?
Okay, so why life coach? It ties, yeah, like you said, it really ties back to my childhood, my journey before I discovered my purpose, before I started going on a healing journey myself. So, I was raised up in an abusive family, and also a very strict Asian family. So, because of all the wounds and the hurts and the traumas that I've been through, it has really affected me as an adult. So, I was living life in autopilot mode lah. Like I would just like follow the status quo, the systems, but I wasn't really happy. I wasn't really content. Yeah. So I was excelling at a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. Like, I at work,
So you were living
providing for
life.
family. Yeah, I wasn't living, I was surviving life.
Surviving.
Yeah, every day just trying to like make sure bills are paid, family's taken care of, everything is fine, everything is like pop. But at the end of the day, if I ask myself like, what am I living for? What is life about? What is life? I couldn't answer myself. Who am I couldn't answer myself.
But now
Yeah.
you know what you have.
Yes.
So who are you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a very very good question, because the difference between when someone knows who they are and when someone doesn't know who they are, the first answer that they will tell you is they will tie themselves to their jobs. Or like if you would to ask me last time, who are you, Roselle? Oh, I'm an eldest daughter who's working as a manager in a certain company. I manage this team like that. So it's very much performance based, or maybe I'm so's wife like that. But if someone knows who they are, and how I would answer you now is that I'm Roselle, and I'm a person who is on a journey of discovering myself and helping others discovering themselves. And things like that. Yeah.
So it's no more linked to it. Yeah, what you say is true. So when you ask people, hey, who are you? Everyone says their job. Like, I didn't ask you your job. I said, who
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah,
Not what do you do? But that's very good. But okay, now talking about this, as you mentioned, this is quite recent. And being a life coach, this is one of the things that people might actually say, hey, you're quite young, all right? You haven't actually gone through life. How can you be a life coach? What do you say to that?
Okay. If I would have like 1 ringgit every time someone asked me this question,
Yeah,
I'll be a millionaire.
correct. So that's why I asked this.
Yeah. Yes, actually, when I first started my journey, I too also have these thoughts in my head. Like I asked my mentor, and I said, what if someone asked me like that? Like you're just like 20. how are you supposed to be my life coach, right? But then this is the answer that I really hold on to. She gave me this answer, and I feel like it holds a lot of truth in it, where she said, if let's say the person is older than you and has much more experience in, let's say, everything, right? Work lah, financial planning lah, starting a family, or just how to be a person, then if they're talking to you, then you ask them lah, like, if you know a lot about life, if you have a very good grasp on life, then why are you talking to me now? Like, why are you seeking for help? Why are you seeking for solutions to make your life better? So that means it's not about the experience, it's actually about what you know about certain things inside of you that you couldn't see. Yeah, it's the knowledge, it's the wisdom. And so she said that life, it's not about how much you have experienced, it's about what you can see in someone that the person cannot see in themselves. And you help that person to see, you direct that person to see, so that that person can make the right choice, make the right decisions, make the right I think the right perspectives for themselves, so that they can come out of the challenges they are facing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you are doing work as a life coach means you actually give solutions to your clients, correct?
Not directly like, okay, this is the solution, because that would be me telling them how to live their life. Like, you are facing this problem, okay, take pill ABC, then you're done.
Okay.
It's not like that. It's more of like, I'm there to just be the light,
Guide you to find
to find what's holding them back, because we really cannot see. Even life coaches themselves also cannot see certain things sometimes. So we need coaches,
life coach
right?
needs
Like
another life
coaches,
coach.
yeah. And when we do that for our clients, we also help them see certain areas in themselves as to what is holding them back in living out their true self, in living out their purpose. Then from that awareness, from that knowledge, and that desire, that conscious desires they have in them, then they would take action and live out their life. Yeah.
Wow. Actually, that's how people should. But I think in the market, it's always, hey, do this, do that, and then you achieve this. But no one understand, hey, why are you doing this? Does this work for you? Is this part of your journey?
Yeah.
And the hardest part to change is actually, I feel, internally. Externally, it's easy. How to books,
Yeah, very easy. Yeah.
But sometimes you don't even know what the problem is internally. How do you, as a person, okay, let's talk about from your point of view. How do you help that person, find out what's they're struggling with internally?
Okay, so for me, I think what works, and it's also what I've been trained with, and I find this also very powerful, and mind drilling, if I have to use the word, like what really drills your mind and also your heart. So it's asking questions, and not just asking random questions or just asking a simple why, but it's more of like asking the right questions about that specific matter, and being honest with answering that question. Because a lot of people, sometimes they get stuck in one situation for so long. It's either they don't ask themselves the right question, or they have asked but they're not willing to be honest with themselves. Yeah, you can lie to yourself all the time,
I think
right?
that's what everyone does.
Yeah.
We just keep on telling ourselves. But how do we get to that honesty part?
That honesty, so it depends on the person's heart and willingness. So every time when I speak to people who comes to me to change, to heal, I would ask them just this very simple thing: are you willing to do what it takes to come out of this? So it's not about are you ready, because everyone can say, oh, I'm not ready yet, let me wait until I'm ready. Or they will say, I'm ready, but not willing. But if you are willing, your willingness can make you ready. Take your willingness is able to help you feel like you are damn scared, but you will still take that step forward. And your willingness will make you be more conscious in how you answer. Like, it helps you to want to dig in more. Sometimes you hit a roadblock, and then you feel like, I can't remember. I don't know why. Have you ever met people who, when you ask them a question, they say, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, they know one. It's just that they either they don't want to go inside, or they are not used to it. So when they don't have the willingness, they will stop there. And they'll be like, oh, too deep, too deep. No, no, no. But if they have the willingness, then they'll be like, okay, let me try. I think, and then they will try, and they will try, and they will try until they reach that deep end, where all the pain and the wounds that was suppressed for so long, Yeah.
But let's say you're someone on the outside, you know of someone like this, let's say your spouse or even your close family, they have to be willing themselves, then only you can open up, right? There's nothing you as an external.
Yes. I would say the external has also something to do. The external has to be able to make the person feel safe, or not make, help the person feel safe enough to be willing to open up. But at the end of the day, it is still boils back to the person themselves, whether or not they are willing to be changed, to be helped. Yeah, no one can force you.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's say a person comes to you and now they're willing, they open up. How do you actually guide them to find their purpose, or even, to do life?
To do life. Okay. So discovering your purpose, we have to, retrace the steps. So I know a lot of people, maybe they have a different way of thinking, and they are much more able to really shift their perspectives and what. So it's easy to help them discover their purpose with simple questions and just guide them towards the right steps. But majority of the people find it hard because of their childhood. Yeah. So in their childhood, they have been raised in a system, in a lifestyle, and a mindset of, this is how the way life is, this is what everybody's doing. You go here, you do this, and then you'll succeed. So when you put a child on that system, on that ride, that naturally the child will never even go and think about, what am I here to do, right? Or what's my purpose? What is my passion? What when I wake up in the morning, that is the thing that I look forward to. And then when I sleep at night, I just, I meditate on these things, I reflect on these things, I pray about these things. And then in my mind, it's just there. I'm consciously like, setting plans, making goals to solve this thing. Yeah. So they are never given that opportunity.
Right. So
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people is, especially in Asian culture, is not, they're not living the life they want, but they're really just a checklist of what I need to do in life.
Correct.
And the checklist is not even set by themselves.
Yes.
It's set by their parents. Even. One thing I want to ask on is, you mentioned a lot about childhood, and even someone previously mentioned about childhood. I know that it's very hard maybe now to dig back your childhood trauma, and it takes a lot of effort. But let's say if someone is a new parent now, what are the things that you need to take note of so that your child doesn't go through the same hurt as you did? What are the red flags, we like to call it?
Okay, a new parent.
Yeah.
I would suggest to start healing yourself also first, before you pour out on the child, or before you start changing your behaviors. Like you see just now, it's very easy to change the external behaviors, but it's not sustainable. Right? It's not it cannot last long. So maybe it works for a few months or a few years, but after that you notice like, hey, how come I bounce back to the old patterns? And then guilt will start. So I think the first step is to look within themselves and to work on what needs to be worked on. It could be like their emotional wounds, because children requires will press your buttons a lot, right? Press your buttons and then challenge your patience, and also sometimes challenge your thinking. Like, you just, for the life of you, cannot understand why this child is like this. Like, yeah. So you need to work on yourself, and heal certain parts. Then you go along. That doesn't mean like, don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to like, you heal first only you must have a child. No, because sometimes your child can also be can also help you heal certain parts of yourself. When you look at them, then you begin to have this resolve in you, and then maybe forgiveness will happen, maybe certain releasing of certain grudges or pain from the past. When you see your child then you let go. But sometimes there are other parts you need to go and work on it yourself, like seek help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are some questions that I can like ask myself to be more aware of what actually I'm hurting, or to let's say resolve some internal trauma or conflict?
Okay. I think the easiest way, right, is to notice the repeated negative patterns in your life. You know, one instances, second, or one or two instances is fine. But if you notice that thing keep on repeating, like let's say, maybe the most common one is your reaction to other people's opinions, or your reaction in your communication with others. Like you always notice yourself either getting offended very easily, or getting worked up so easily, or getting rejected. Like sometimes the people don't even mean it, but you always feel you are rejected, you are being put down. Then it keeps repeating in every social situation you are in. You also feel that way, so it's a repeated pattern. Then the next thing, after you recognize it, then you can ask yourself like, okay, what is it? What is it trying to tell me? What is this pattern trying to tell me? What's there? What's in my heart that's making me want to react like this all the time? Because I for sure know that this person doesn't mean that way. Right? Yeah. Maybe certain people, yes, they're trying to put you down, but majority of the time,
It just comes out.
it just comes, yeah, they just, maybe that's the way they talk, but they don't mean to put you down, but you always taking so personally. Then when you are willing to recognize the pattern, then I think the next step, you also be more willing to ask yourself, hey, where does this come from? Where in me that needs, what in me needs to be dealt with lah. I feel like, yeah.
Wow. So, but I think comes the word willing. You really have to be willing at the end of the day.
Yes, you have to, because it's hard. Healing is not happy all the time. Healing is hard work, yeah, and sometimes relieving the pain, sometimes like expressing and pouring out what you have been suppressing for years, 20, 30 over years. And it's not a simple thing to just like, okay, I just have one cry and I'm done. No, it's a lot of accepting, and then releasing, and then forgiving. Or forgiving is also another thing that's so hard, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, you found your purpose, and I would say purpose, like for me, how I see purpose is at different phases of your life, you have different purpose.
Okay.
This how I see it. What do you think about it? I mean, as a human, definitely, I think we have one main purpose that we're always going for. But at different phases, you have micro purposes that suits whatever phase you're in. Like let's say now I am building my business. I will have a sub purpose, I call it.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I think maybe the essence of what you understand might be the same as what I understand. It's just that maybe the way you put it is different. So, yes, everyone has this one main purpose. Yeah, I call it a core purpose in their life, like why they exist here on earth. So when they know their purpose, then they can actually use different methods in different seasons of their life to fulfill their purpose. Yeah.
So it's not that I have different purposes.
Yeah, you can use different methods.
It's just different methods
correct.
at different seasons.
Yeah. It's like, for example, if a person's purpose is to be the safe space for others to understand themselves better through sharing their knowledge. Maybe they are just so passionate and so devoted in sharing knowledge and wisdom, and loves to study, loves to read, and wherever they go, their mouth is always like and that person can either, maybe in the beginning stages of their life, they can open up a business and be a speaker, be a podcaster, or build a business of workshops. Then later on, if that person get married, maybe at that point of time, that person would be more focused on their children, their spouse, building their family with the right knowledge. And even though maybe the business is not worked on so much, the focus has shifted to family, that person is still fulfilling his or her purpose. You see, because when you tie your purpose to a job or a business or a family or a friendship or a passion project or your career, what if that thing
Yeah, it fails or
ends
it
or it
ends.
fades? Yeah, then you would then question yourself, or die lah. I know a lot of people say that. Yeah, you know, like, oh, say lo, die lo. I don't know what to do already. I got sacked from my job, or my business not working, or um, my children's not talking to me. You know, all these things come up, and then they start to doubt themselves and they lose direction in life. Yeah. So.
And speaking about lose direction, this is our next thing is, what if something like this happens to them and
Mm.
they lose their direction in life?
Mm.
What's the first thing they can do?
Okay, the first thing they can do is sit down, take deep breaths. I'm a big advocate for this. Sit down, take a deep breath, and then regulate yourself first. You know, process the emotions. A lot of people always like to find solutions, but instead of like finding solution first, you should sit down, take a deep breath, and then really ask yourself like, okay, what this thing is happening in my life now. There's these challenges that's happening. What am I gonna do? Yeah, it's okay to be vulnerable. They have to be vulnerable so that the willingness can come out. Again, willingness. Yeah, you have to be
Willingness.
vulnerable with yourself so that you can be willing to look at what you can look at. So once they are willing, then they can ask themselves, okay, what is my purpose again? What am I here for again? If they cannot find the answer, then it's like, oh, I don't know. So what should I do if I don't know? Let me go seek help. Let me go online or search or seek help from someone like that. Yeah.
I think most of the time it's just letting the emotions flow through, because we
Yeah.
make bad decisions
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
we are. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. We have a short break. All right, so on the previous episode, we actually had your husband, not no more boyfriend, husband, Summer, and I asked him this question: how do you know how does he know that you are the right one? Now let me turn around and ask: how do you know that he was the right one?
Good question. So I've had my fair share of broken relationships in the past, and for me, I was able to recognize the pattern of why a lot of my relationships were broken. And with him, when I got together with him, the pattern, of course, it came up, and it was active during the relationship. But one thing I noticed that really, really struck my heart and gave me that assurance and that something to hold on to is that this person, doesn't matter how my hurts and my brokenness was like evident, he stayed through, he stuck through, he thought of ways to help me, and he showed that he would want to work this out with me. And it's not like you got to go work your own issues and then you come back to me, that kind of person. It's more of like, hey, you know, let me be there for you, let me work through it with you. And then that's one factor. And then another factor, of course, it goes back to my beliefs, my personal beliefs in my faith in God and all. When so for me, how I do things is that I would pray about it, you know, and then I would seek confirmation. And there's this peace that when I pray about our relationship, our marriage, and this person particularly, and I felt that intense peace in me. And right then I knew that, you know, this is the person that I want to be with. Yeah.
And on one of your posts, on your reels, actually, you did say you are the firstborn, hyper-independent daughter who's always taking care of others and serious in life, and caring acts of service youngest son, which is her husband, who taught her what it's like being taken care of and enjoy life.
Yeah.
So how do you open up to him taking care of you? I mean, I'm the firstborn. We feel like we need to take everything into our hands. We are the. How did that go?
Okay. So I believe he did tell you that we were together for 5 years, right? And then, so for the first 2-3 years of our relationship, it was a rocky road. Like, it did not start off as like in the first year, then I'm already open. It was so hard for the both of us, and a lot of things happened, and then there were breaks as well, and then coming back together again and work iron out all the edges. And along the way of all those challenges that we face, I begin to be more aware of like my hurts, my wounds, like more consciously. It's not something that like I keep saying like this is me, this is who I am, so you need to accept it. But it's more of like me beginning to understand like, oh hey, this thing that I'm carrying from the past, it's not really working anymore, like I want to be with this person and it's not working anymore. It's not really helping the relationship. And like I mentioned earlier, his heart to want to work things out with me together also provided me that safe safe space, I would say, or safe energy lah, that makes me want to seek help. Yeah, so when I went to seek help, I realized the eldest daughter syndrome or the eldest child syndrome is an identity we took on when we were young because of again, it's just the roles of a firstborn lah, right? You sometimes cannot avoid it because our parents have different circumstances, and it's fine, we don't blame them. But we will reach a certain point of our life when we grow up. We also need to learn to know when to let go of that identity of like, I have to take care of everyone, I have to be in charge, I have to take control. If not, people's life will fall apart, or my life will fall apart, or things will fall apart without me, and it's a very stressful thing to hold on to. And so when I decided to let go of that identity, that's the most liberating thing ever, because I realized that, hey, yes, maybe certain times things might fall apart, but you just need to trust yourself and trust the other person to work things out with them and rebuild it back again. Deal with the consequences, deal with the mistakes together, not alone. And that way you get closer with that person. That way you build more meaningful relationships. That way you build more stronger bonds with another person, because you have learned how to let go, you have learned how to make mistakes, you have learned that it doesn't define you, the mistakes doesn't define you. I think one thing about the identity is so dangerous also is because we tend to be very high achievers, performance based people. We the reason why we must take care of everything, because we cannot let the mistake or the mishap to define who are we,
We
who
need to
we
be in
are.
control.
We need to be in control. If that thing doesn't work out, that means I'm a failure already. See, cannot happen. Yeah, but if we cut that tie, untie that string where we tie our identity to it, right, and tie it back to the source of our life, like who we are as a person, then that also helps us to shed off that identity.
I think speaking about like, there's this joke going around like, oh, there's a first child, there's this identity, and then the second child is always the forgotten child.
Yeah.
Then the
Yeah.
third one's always like, getting pampered all the way up. Do you see that in your clients, or is that just a stereotype that
Yes and no. Yes, but then sometimes there are certain clients that I work with. The last child is actually taking on the role of an eldest child, because the eldest child, does not do
that role?
that role properly. Yeah, so it can also interchange one. Yeah.
Actually, the next question is actually very, very selfish. Okay, guys always say that we can't understand female.
Okay.
How can, from a female's perspective, how can guys think differently, or what should guys notice more that helps with this communication gap?
Okay. Now, in order to answer that question, you have to also, it's again going back to childhood, because when we were a child, what did our parents tell us about being a boy and being a girl? What is our role? What we can and cannot do? What we can and cannot show? So that shapes up a child's mindset, shapes up a child's perspective on being a boy and being a girl. So when they grow up, they automatically have this programming in them already. Like they don't take the initiative. Let's say for guys, they feel like expressing emotion is weak, it's vulnerable, it's girly. Like, why are you being such a girl? Why are you being so soft? You know, when guys are more
Yeah.
in touch with their emotion, they are always labeled as that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when they cut themselves off from the emotional aspect and also the aspect of tuning into their hearts and their intuition, that is what um, holding them back. That's what's holding them back from understanding other people's perspective, especially a woman. Yeah, so it's not so much about like, oh, guys are like this, girls are like that. It's just as simple as how you are programmed since young, and then it also has to do with the gender roles in society, and that creates a lot of block in a person, you know. And then for women on the other hand, same also, like, you are a woman, you should do this from young already. You a man must know how you feel, a man must know your heart, if not, don't want him, something like, I see a lot of this like going on, you know. But as a woman, like, for me personally, I think that yes, there is when you are in a relationship with someone, it is fair for you to expect certain things from your partner, that your partner to understand you, your partner to know what you feel, know what you think, and make certain initiatives to do certain things. But what's not right, I feel like what's not right is that you don't communicate them and you just expect. So that would be expecting the person to read your mind, right? And that's also a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
You most likely during childhood you were forced, you know, you were in a family dynamic of, you always have to read other people's mind, you always have to, you know, like, when you grow
You
up
must
around,
step around stones.
step around eggshells, or on eggshells, and then, you know, the adults around you are all very emotionally unstable, so you learn already how to read people's mind, and then you learn how to take initiative to survive, then you carry that into your
So
relationship.
it's a lot of
Yeah,
avoidance and survival.
correct. Yeah,
Uh,
so when they bring that into relationship, so because they have done it and it becomes a norm, sorry, a lifestyle to them, it becomes a way of protecting themselves. So sometimes they don't even realize it anymore. They don't realize that, hey, communicating your needs is okay. Hey, communicating your feelings is okay. And you won't get shut down. You won't get shut down. Or even if you might get shut down, that's okay. You know, it's not about it doesn't have to do with your identity or who you are, you know. It's just that maybe the other person doesn't know how to receive communication, because that person is always taught how to, like,
give.
avoid conversation, avoid communication. Yeah, talk so much for what, just do lah, you know. So you see the
Yeah, the
dynamic.
dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, okay. So it's not so much about, you know, hey, this is what you're supposed to do,
Mm,
but it's supposed, as in a relationship, just sticking, like you want to say, stick to the person, show that this is a safe space. I'm willing to go through this with you,
yeah, yeah.
and that's what matters, lah.
Yeah, like, to give you an example, so for me, big eldest child, I think you might understand, is like, we rarely tell our problems to people. We
Yeah.
don't tell it. We would
Want to
keep it to
solve
ourselves
everything.
and solve everything ourselves. And even it can be emotional problem or mental problem also. So the one thing that really challenges my husband in the past is that I won't tell him anything, and I will go through the pain myself. And so when we get into a fight, I will go into a very, I would shut down. I would shut down, or I would freeze, and I won't say anything. And it's hard to solve the conflict, and it's hard to mend what's been broken, right? So he always had to, like, one thing that I'm so grateful for him is that he never gave up in uh, assuring me, like, I'm here, tell me, open up to me, do this together, don't do it yourself. And at that point of time, inside my heart, I know, I know that I want to tell him, but I couldn't. I don't want. Why? Because there's so much trauma that hasn't been dealt with. It's not about him, about me. You see? Yeah. So I think a lot of people in relationships or in marriages, it's not too late. You can still be aware of that negative pattern, right? The negative keep repeating. You get into a fight, you always go back to avoidance or shut down. Or when you get into a fight, you always like to get so fired up, and sometimes you don't even understand or remember what you're fighting for. So that's also something that you gotta like, why
Why am I doing this?
why am I doing this?
It comes back to being willing. That's I think that's
Yes,
the
being
word. You
willing.
have to be willing.
Because there's a lot of shame there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shame. Yeah.
You have to strip apart and say, hey.
It's like strip yourself, like, no, what is there?
And okay, so that's yeah, that really really helps. In terms of one more thing, guy girl, this since you're married, I want to ask, what is the thing that you actually look for in a guy that say, hey, he's the one to marry?
Okay, I think this one, personally for me, I feel like it doesn't matter whether or not this guy is has a issues, because everyone has issues, right? Because I know a lot of people, when I have conversations with friends or family members, or even sometimes clients, the misconception about society is always like, you need to look for a person that has a grasp on their issue already, and then they are already set for life. And then, but I feel like, then where does the togetherness come in, right? Where is the building together your life phase, and then enjoying the fruit of your labors, afterwards? So for me, what I look for in a guy is that, number one, when I ask the guy, what is your vision in life? What is your direction? You don't have to tell me exactly what's your purpose, your big why, because sometimes some people may not know it yet, but at least they have a direction. At least they have a vision, like, this is where I'm heading towards. It may change later, but this is where I'm going. Why? Because for me, when I get into a relationship with you that leads to marriage, I want to be the person that is able to support you, encourage you, and help you in achieving your vision, and to be in alignment with you, so that I can also, when I live my life, I can integrate it with your life and work as a team to support you, and not like, I don't know your vision also, so then suddenly you
So
tell
you
me
do
this
on
your
your own.
vision. Suddenly you tell me this your vision. I cannot leh. I cannot support you. I want to do my own thing. Then you do your own thing. Then
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I have to get into his business and then like, okay, I do what you do. But it's sometimes it can be moral support, emotional support, encouragement. Be there through the tough times. Be there through the trials and tribulations, because I believe in that vision, and I'm set for life already. That's why that's important to me. Then second thing, what I look for in a guy is that, despite the issues and challenges he's facing or I'm facing, he is willing to work things out, even though he may not know all the answers yet. It's okay. But just the willingness to, when things are pointed out, he could say, okay, let's work this out. Tell me where I'm wrong, or I'm willing to tell you where you're wrong, and then help you through it. Yeah.
Right.
So I think, maybe to put into simple terms, maybe emotional maturity, or the willingness to be emotionally mature despite not knowing how yet, it's also okay,
Right.
because you can cultivate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, thanks. But before we end, there's this. You have this Purposeful Year planner, and I know it's a bit late. It's March and going to be April already. How can people still use this? It's a free downloadable on your web on your
The link
link.
tree,
Yeah,
the
link
link.
tree. I'll put it in the link below. How can people use it?
So I put it as undated, so that you can hop on it anytime. You don't have to start on January or February, because a purposeful year doesn't have to start from January. You can start in May, in June, or sometimes November. And when you get on the PDF that I have, drafted out, it comes with 3 parts. So the first part is the word of the year. So why I put word of the year? Because in every season of our lives, I believe that there is this one thing that we are working on, right? And that one thing can be described in one word, because if you do long, sometimes you
Forget.
too much, yeah, you forget. So to make things easier for you and for a person, one word, describe it in one word. What is it? Or 2 3 words, just not more than one sentence lah. So sometimes some people will say connect, some people will say this season forgive, celebrate, create. Yeah, so I remember 2 3 years ago my word was create, and that was the year I created my business. Yeah. So once you have your year, so the word of the year, then you could move on to the second segment, which is setting intentions. So again, when you look into your own life, there's so many aspects, right? The problem with a lot of people is that they FOMO, like they want to do
Everything also want to
everything.
do.
Yeah, everything also want to do, but actually you don't have to, because our lives are interconnected. When you work on one thing, it creates a ripple effect that would affect others. So you can just choose like 2 or 3. I think good to choose 3 lah, so you have like 1 2 3 like that. So you choose 3 aspect, and then you look at the word of the year, and then you ask yourself, okay, in these 3 aspect, why, if your word is create, so what would I like to create? What am I desiring to create for these 3 aspect of my life this year? And then you write down your intention. Okay, I want to create meaningful relationships in my friendship circle. I want to create a better financial plan. Yeah, a better financial system for myself and my family, let's say. Then I want to create, let's say, in your career, I want to create a fun and meaningful career life for myself. Just that. No need to do so many things, just 3. Then once you have this intention set for you, the next one is taking aligned actions. So that one you don't have to write down in that. If you want to write down also can, but it can be like your daily checklist, daily to-do list, maybe weekly planning. You can just carry the word and also the intentions you have set for yourself, and then every week you ask yourself, okay, this week I think I want to focus maybe on the first intention first, right? For my friendship circle. If I want to create a meaningful friendship, what should I do? Is it to reach out to the people I haven't connected in a while and just ask them to go out for a meal? Be present, listen.
The tiny things.
The little things. So it's all about doing the little things every day that is aligned with the intentions you have set. So when you take a step back and you see it in a bigger scale, it creates a purposeful living.
The purposeful year.
Yeah, purposeful year, purposeful living. Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. So if you want to get the PDF, it's in her link tree. I also put it in the link in the description. Okay, guys, go check it out. It's good. I've done it myself, and it's very similar to what I planned at the start of the year. All right, so thank you so much, Roselle.
You're welcome.
If you have anything, you can contact her, mental health or whatsoever. All right, thanks.